US Pakistan. Okay, ठीक है.
नमस्कार, जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स. दिस इज आदि अचिंत. हम ये देख रहे हैं कि भाई हमारे साथ बैठे हुए हैं हमारे राजा मुनीब साहब. आजकल थोड़े बिजी चल रहे हैं तो कोई बात नहीं, बट स्टिल ही इज टेकन आउट टाइम, सो थैंक यू राजा भाई फॉर दैट. बट यार ये बताओ, पाकिस्तान और अमेरिका आजकल तो यार आसिम मुनीर को डिनर शिनर के लिए बुलाया जा रहा है. ये तो कुछ अलग ही गेम है. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? क्या देख रहे हो आप?
Thank you, Adi bhai. Namaskar, and thank you for inviting me again there. Uh, Expected है क्यों नहीं होगा? Why would not happen? Uh, and inviting Asim Munir for dinner is I don't see it as a very major thing in Pakistan. The problem with Americans right now is that they cannot cede Pakistan to the Chinese completely.
हम्म.
प्रॉब्लम वहां पर है. ठीक है ना. पाकिस्तान में बहुत सी प्रॉब्लम्स चल रही हैं जो पाकिस्तान ने बेसिकली इनके सामने रखी हैं कि इफ यू डोंट वांट अस टू बी कंप्लीटली टेकन ओवर बाय द चाइनीज, then you need to help us. The biggest is their food security issue. That is why their $20 billion World Bank has come in to pitch in, because Pakistani food supplies are running very, very low. December तक के पास उनके पास stocks. Their economy is in shambles. The Chinese were putting a lot of pressure on Pakistanis, asking for the money back and rollovers. They were refusing to give them rollovers. They took over Gwadar. They are forcing them to hand over every SCZ in Pakistan to them as well. Lahore wala to unhone liya hi hua hai. So the Americans cannot afford to completely give Pakistan completely to to the Chinese. Let them consolidate in Pakistan. Second is what is happening in Iran also. They need Pakistan for that as well. That is very important. So they are keeping them, letting them go the way they want them to go. But I don't see it's something which we saw the Americans doing between when Musharraf was there and Zia was there. So it's the same repetition of the same era. But the partnership they had with Musharraf and the partnership they had with Zia, it's not on the same level with Munir. It is not
क्या
going to
डिफरेंस
be on the same level.
क्या डिफरेंस है?
See, American skin was directly involved in the 80s throughout when they were fighting Russians in Afghanistan. Okay.
हम्म.
So at the moment, there is no active hostile, country which you want to take on and drag into war. So ये jihad ecosystem जो अमेरिका ने start किया था, it's pretty much now like a self-running startup kind of a thing where you don't need to put much of an effort to kickstart anything or monitor everything. So it's a factory which they started in Pakistan. The factory operates and the factory keeps on churning these jihadis. So they don't need to push it. Second thing is during Musharraf also they wanted to get into Afghanistan. They wanted to be physically there. They needed Pakistani support there. This time they want Pakistan to carry the burden of doing the dirty work. So the Americans will use them tactically. If they want to use them against Iran, they will use them against Iran. If they want them to raise ISIS and fight ISIS in Afghanistan or in Pakistan or in Iran, they will do that. They don't want the Chinese presence to be overwhelmingly. The Americans are extremely, you can say, alert. Not only alert, they're extremely concerned about what the Chinese, and the Chinese have been saying this for a very long time. Bypassing border and coming into Afghanistan via the KPK route. The Americans are looking at creating a buffer zone in KPK and in Balochistan. So if they give that route for trade to the Chinese to come in to KPK and get into Afghanistan, then they again lose strategic depth in the area, which they cannot afford to do. So that is also very, very important for them. So the difference is that it's Asim Munir is not somebody who is going to be able to dictate the terms to how the Pakistanis what can happen. It will be more of taking orders of what needs to be done, and that is a major difference. Also, I don't think the US is keen on selling any arms the way they sold, they sold to Zia, those F-16 deals and all that. I think the Americans will not be looking at that level of a partnership as well. They will keep that F-16 funding and all that going on, but it's not going to be that they will they will arm Pakistan with cutting edge technology and all that. That is also not going to happen. So it's not that it's not at the same level of what we saw before, but it's more on a client servicing level where they will call him for dinner, they will feed him well, they will treat him well, but then they will put their own list of demands on how to play the game. That is what they will do. And then
That
the
will
Imran Khan story handling.
that will happen in the
Oh,
closed
and
doors.
then what happens from the close door? That is what will happen with Pakistan because the Americans know that what they have to do in this area.
But my main question in this entire game is कि अगर आप इसको देखो, Americans basically आपने बोला कि भाई एक बफर जोन बनाने की कोशिश करें KPK and Balochistan. That's something that you and I have been analyzing for a long time. बहुत टाइम से बोल रहे हैं कि KPK and Balochistan तो Americans ही साफ करेंगे and that is the area that they want. तो इसके अंदर पाकिस्तान की longevity तो है नहीं.
10-12 साल की longevity तो है ना इस region में. 10 to 12 years they will survive in this game. See, they also need Pakistan and Bangladesh also, no? Because Bangladesh is also important for them. They need Pakistan for that also. Who will do all the dirty work for the Rohingyas? They're already arming them. That is happening through ISI. They're sending ISI to train them, right? तो उसके लिए भी उनको पाकिस्तान की जरूरत है. They cannot let it slip completely to China because if tomorrow Bangladesh swings out of American or influenced by any chance and Yunus goes and ties up completely with China, then their only way of counterbalancing will be through Pakistan through all these Jamaat organizations.
तो ये भी चाइना को कहे, how will Pakistan handle China? Because China will come around and say, साले मैं तेरे को इतने पैसे दिए तो भी जाके वहां बैठ गया है.
See, one credit you have to give that the Chinese to the Pakistanis. No, they have been able to balance both of them very well. इनको आता है. They know how to balance China and they know how to balance US. So they'll play the same game. They'll keep on playing. They're not going to annoy the Chinese. But then to keep the Chinese the way they are, the only thing will happen is the Chinese ask for money. They have the money. They'll say, okay, here is your payment. We are giving you the payment. Or you want more to come inside. You already have Balochistan. You can consolidate more in Balochistan. But new deals, the rare earth mining, what they are looking at, that deals might not go to China. China was literally arm twisting them for those deals. So now they have they can create a bit of a buffer with them and say that it's a 50-50 thing or when we have more investments coming. So they raise the stakes basically. So then the Chinese will be saying, okay, we need to put more money. Are Chinese ready to put more money into Pakistan? Will they be able to match the investments coming in from the West? The Chinese are not going to do that. They will not put money in Pakistan. So that is how they will hold it. So the Chinese will also play the tiring game to say, okay, they can get in their clinical time. Right? So they would
America
not be
कितने
overly
पैसे,
bothered.
how much money can the West put into this place?
West has already given them $40 billion. You think that is less? This is the biggest ever Pakistan has ever got from the West.
But
It's
that
quite a
is over
substantial amount.
15 years.
Yeah, but what do you do if you put more than $2 billion in Pakistani economy? Pakistan becomes unstable. Pakistan economy cannot take an influx of more than $2 billion per year. That is what the Chinese assessment is also that anything over $2 billion in Pakistan is risky the economy of Pakistan. So that is what they can take every year. So that is how they will go about it.
So what do you think is the game right now? अभी अमेरिका क्या करेगा आगे जाके?
Yeah, Americans का predict करना बहुत मुश्किल है. Americans are playing a very dirty game. They are setting up the entire West Asia on fire. ठीक है. ये बोलो पाकिस्तान में तो जो इंसर्जेंसी चल रही है वो चल ही रही है. वो रुकने वाली तो है नहीं. टीटीपी भी रुकने वाला नहीं है. बलोच भी रुकने वाले नहीं है. अफगानिस्तान के साथ दे आर ट्राइंग वेरी हार्ड कि रिलेशनशिप बेटर हो जाए बट वो हो नहीं रहा है. The inherent issues are still there. They are not willing to address them or talk about it. The Afghans are looking at a trade from China saying that, okay, the CPEC comes in and makes us money, they will make money. But at the end of the day, that is it, not more than that. Iran is going to be up in fire. In case Iran gets into a direct conflict with Israel, then obviously Pakistan comes in handy for them. How will Pakistan navigate out of it is to be seen. Essentially, you're looking at a conflict which is going to engulf not only West Asia, which is also going to engulf Europe. The way Russia-Ukraine thing is also going. So these Americans are playing a very, very dirty game. The Americans are basically trying to reset the world order. That is what Trump is trying to do. But
To
how
what?
successfully he
In
will
this
do it,
in this particular region, in your assessment, ये क्या reset करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं? To what direction?
to a direction which is more aligned to the, you can say, more I don't know if the conservative is the right word to use here, but that is what I will like, try to see to get America more, back into the game, to be more, to be more aligned to the traditional American thinking rather than what we saw with the Democrats. Because with the
Hmm.
Democrats, they've completely lost the game, especially in Europe. Okay, now they are losing allies in Europe as well. And will EU survive? And I think the Americans are thinking that the EU won't survive in next 10 years. European Union will break. And that is another thing that Americans have to be very careful about. So they're trying to reset their order in a way that they hold the supremacy and they don't have a major challenge coming out of the European countries challenging them. You have China on one side. The last thing you want is major European rejig happening where Europe will start aligning with China or with will not happen with Russia for sure, but will can definitely use China as a major bargaining deal. So I think that is what they are trying to do. That is what their aim is. But then for that to happen, they have to literally put fire everywhere. That is the only way they can handle this. There is no other way. There are no negotiation way now out of this. You also have an imminent threat sitting in Syria. You have Turkey, which has its own, ambitions, which is pushing in the region. So they have to be extremely careful. You have Saudis who are now very apprehensive about the Iranian deal. So it's all about to go haywire, and that is why they want to reset. That is why it is going to be a problem. So you have a lot of unrest in the region. You have a lot of changing flux happening in everywhere. So they're trying. They're playing a murky game. That is why they're playing this game.
What is Pakistan's role? ये कुछ डायरेक्टली आईएसकेपी, बिकॉज अभी रिसेंटली जो बलोच ने आईएसकेपी को आके ठोका है,
Hmm.
उसका उसका तो ऑब्वियसली लॉट ऑफ लॉट ऑफ दिस इंटेलिजेंस, हम लोग इसके बारे में काफी टाइम से बात कर रहे हैं, एंड लॉट ऑफ दिस करेक्ट इंटेलिजेंस केम फ्रॉम द अफगान्स एंड रिलेटेड सोर्सेज कि भाई ये सब चीजें कर रहे हैं, दे हैव एक्चुअली बीन एबल टू शो इट कि भाई ये देखो, वी बीन टेलिंग यू दे आर डूइंग दिस एंड हियर इज द एविडेंस. नाउ व्हाट डू यू थिंक, दिस ये जो बलूचिस्तान का रीजन है, इसके अंदर आईएसकेपी बीएलए कितना वो उसका गेम आगे जाएगा? बिकॉज़ अमेरिकंस आल्सो सपोर्ट द
Obviously,
बीएलए.
बढ़ेगा. Obviously, बढ़ेगा. देखो, Pakistan is nothing more than a client state.
Hmm.
That is the use of Pakistan. No, there is no other use of Pakistan. And it's a dangerous client state because the mothership of all terrorism emanates from there. So ISKP DLA to clash होगा ही होगा. ISKP Afghanistan में भी clash करेगा Taliban के साथ. Taliban is keeping a very tight leash onto them, but then there are chances it will escalate. Pakistan may same will happen in Balochistan. It will happen in Tajikistan. It will happen in Kyrgyzstan. So this whole region will get engulfed. And the Chinese would want all of them, all of these people to be out of there because they don't want the 18 guys to 18 them. So most of the 18 वाले जो हैं वो यहाँ तो तालिबान ने वहां पे एंगेज करके रखे हुए हैं, यहाँ पर पाकिस्तान में आए इसके में डाल के रखे हैं ताकि ये they stay away from China. So this game will become more mercury. ये clash तो imminent है. मतलब ISKP पाकिस्तान ट्रेन कर रहा है, we know it. Unleash भी कर रहा है, we know it. अफगानिस्तान में they are trying, we know it. ईरान पे they will start trying, we know it. So let's see ये कहाँ जाता है. But बलूचिस्तान में तो for sure they are going to clash. ये पाकिस्तान में जो sectarian violence हो रही है इतने टाइम से, ये क्या है? यही तो it is a signage of IS, Salafis clashing with other sects. The interest only जिसको मैं conflict बोल रहा हूँ कि which is growing in Pakistan. So which is about to explode in Pakistan. That will happen in Pakistan. पाकिस्तान को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
So ये जो आप बोल रहे हो, the Salafis who are now kind of clashing with everybody, क्या what do you think their plans will be and what all groups will be involved in this?
But there are a lot of groups which are involved. You have Lashkar-e-Toiba, you have ISIS. These are the main two ones. Then you have सिपाही साहबा करके है, ठीक है, वो है उसमें इन्वॉल्व. उसके बाद आपकी जैश अदल है. उसके बाद ये मेन जो है ये आपकी मेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है पाकिस्तान में आज की डेट. Then on the other side, you have Taliban, you have TTP, you have QIS. It's a murky deal. ये इसमें not go and fro भी ये लोग करते रहते हैं. So, but the problem is that look, if you look at the data of Pakistan, अगर आप पाकिस्तान को देखोगे ना, it is going the Somalia way. Pakistan as a country is collapsing. Its population is below poverty. 50% of the population is living below poverty. Food inflation is going to hit them despite the money. But the only thing is that they are wearing solar kameez over their malnutrition bodies. They will go on. The radicalization is on there. Apart from that, Jamaat-e-Islami is going to clash with जमात उलमा इस्लामी एंड पाकिस्तान वो भी होगा जेआई विल क्लाश पीएलपी है वहां पर जो बरेलवी हैं वो भी क्लैश करेंगे तो ये सारे जो हैं ये क्लैश करेंगे इसका क्लैश का आपको पर ये खाली आपको पाकिस्तान में इफेक्ट नहीं दिखेगा इसका क्लैश का आपको बांग्लादेश में भी इफेक्ट दिखेगा इस क्लैश का आपको इंडिया में भी इफेक्ट दिखेगा इट विल इफेक्ट यू आल्सो हियर इन इंडिया एज वेल so this is going to be a regional clash where everywhere, where the Sunni Islamism is basically thriving, they are going to fight. It will have effects in Syria also. At the moment, Jolani is holding on to power, but then the Saudis would be very careful of how to go about it. The Muslim Brotherhood is completely involved into it. They have their own ambition, their own gains. With back in Syria in power, they have now bigger ambitions. They are now thinking will be able to take much more, places after Syria, after Afghanistan. It's kind of a thing. So it's a bit of a complex situation. How the Arab world will fight this? Qataris are playing their own games, right? Qatar is sponsoring a hell lot of organizations. But every organization in today's date and age is being sponsored by Qatar. So they are playing both ways as well. So we have to be very, very careful of where this goes in Pakistan. That is how it is going to go. But then Pakistan will try to fight us also because Americans would like to keep us in check. They are not liking the way we are growing and the way we are growing very fast. Nobody in the world is liking it. No country is liking it. So Americans are going to keep us in check with them as well. There will be a lot of push and pull which will be coming, on different issues. So it's not either or. It's not going to be either or. It needs a lot of diplomatic help to manage things like this. It's not going to be easy.
So what's your opinion about आसिम मुनीर? आसिम मुनीर को जब भी वहां पर बुलाया है, इससे क्या अभी इमीडिएट इन द शॉर्ट टर्म क्या मांगेंगे?
कुछ नहीं मांगेंगे मांगेंगे क्या they're just trying to woo him on his side and Asim Munir देखो Asim Munir is nothing Asim Munir is somebody who's going to be there till they want him to be there irrespective right so Asim Munir से क्या मांगेंगे Asim Munir से कुछ भी नहीं मांगेंगे at the moment they will just push for one they might ask him to release Maran Baloch that is something I'm watching very carefully will the Americans raise the issue of Maran Baloch or not Imran Khan I don't think they will raise the issue about they might do lip service but that is it but I think more what they will ask for him is a consolidation of Reko mines ka. And they will be looking at KPK, they will be looking at carrying out some surveys. So they will be looking at that as well. They will be looking at more exploration in Balochistan. These are the main things which they will be looking in Pakistan for and will be asking him to give them that. So it will be primarily centered on what wealth and material, whether it's rare earth or rare minerals, whatever is in Pakistan, what they can get. I think Rekodik is something where they will be pushing for. Sandvik, the Chinese are already sitting. Rekodik pe abhi exploration start only hai Canadians. So that is where they would be pushing them for as well. So, and these are very, very close to each other, these two mines.
To me, what is very interesting is कि the American U-turn and they found an opportunity during this time. Now something very interesting कि भाई हमारी तरफ से भी बोल रहे होंगे कि बेवकूफों कर क्या रहे हो? ठीक है, what are you doing? You want to spoil the entire relation? Fair enough, go ahead, do it. Now, how do you think they are responding to us on that?
See, spoiling relations in what sense? We are not either or, na. This either or thing has to come out. That is,
See, people do get there is a certain this thing कि यार what the hell, they've done this before, they're
yeah,
doing
ऐसा
it
नहीं
again.
होता है. So they have already been doing this and we have been dealing with them. Okay. But at the same time, we also have our strategic interest with the Americans and Americans have with us. And we are working on them as well. So the areas where interest mutually will work with them. Where we have a problem, we will also oppose them, they will also oppose us. We'll play our own game. Why do we have to create Eden and all? We don't have to get into that situation. And I don't think we should be getting into either or situation also. Look at Canada, where Canada is today because of either and or Khalistani nonsense they try to do, right? So either or chalta nahi hai. Diplomacy mein nahi chalta hai. It doesn't work on that sense. There is no friend in diplomacy. There is no, and everybody is an enemy. Okay, you are friends of convenience. So you manage yourself. You're growing. You're becoming stronger. You keep on becoming stronger, and you just take a larger pie of the cake. Then you're in a better position to bargain for that larger pie of the cake, right? So if the Americans are creating problem, I'm pretty sure the Europeans are very happy to support us on many things. So these games are going to go on. The Chinese are giving us virtue signaling on many things. So there's always a balance and there is a counterbalance. So I don't either or is not something I seriously look at anything like that. It doesn't
How
work
do you
either or. Never.
how do you think the Chinese are going to react to this?
To what? To the American
To
thing. The Chinese are used
हाँ,
to it. The Chinese are used to it.
भाई
See,
पैसे तो
if you look at
जाएंगे.
the Chinese, but the Chinese also know no, the way West operates. The West is not a reliable partner. No, the
Hmm.
West will use them and throw them. So when they throw them, they'll come back in the Chinese lap for the Chinese to devour them. The Chinese will say, let them suck more, whatever flesh is there, let them leave the bones. Once they are brittle, they will crush the bones. So the Chinese will wait. Chinese will not have a problem because we know time and again the Americans just use and throw. Flying states का
Hmm.
तो वही हाल होता है. Why would
Hmm.
that not suit, you know, the Chinese? The Chinese will let them suck their blood. What is the problem? जाएंगे कहाँ? जाने तो उन्होंने कहीं नहीं है. The only thing Chinese will be very careful about is Balochistan. They would not like to
बलूचिस्तान
see the
ये
block.
बट हाउ मच मनी विल द चाइनीज गिव आगे अभी पैसे भी तो देने होंगे ना यार पाकिस्तानी अपने आप तो
किस
रह नहीं
चीज के
सकते
देने? नहीं तो
कुछ
पाकिस्तानी
तो
में
देंगे
देने
ही
हैं ना चाइना से. तो वो
हाँ
तो
बट
बोल
वो
रहे हैं ना
उसका
कि ऐसे
वो
जाओ.
रिफंड या क्या बोलते हैं वो रिफंड ये वो दिस क्या रिन्यूअल ये वो ऑल दैट दे वांट वो कहाँ से आएगा वो सारा कुछ
बट उसमें उन्हें थोड़ा सा दिखाया है ना, थोड़ा सॉफ्टवेयर प्रूफ दिखाया है. They've given a rollover of $3.3 billion to the Pakistanis, which they were not
हम्म
willing to give a rollover of $1 billion पहले. उस पर भी बोलते थे
हम्म
वापस हम रिफंड करेंगे, rollover नहीं देंगे. So the Chinese also showed them a bit of, what I will say is a bit of soft approach, saying that ठीक है,
हम्म
we are putting you in a bit of relaxation mode because now the Chinese know that the Americans are putting in the money. So they'll also
दैट्स
keep them. So they'll play their game and they will wait it out. That is what will
तो
happen.
अफगानिस्तान का क्या होगा
Afghanistan का कुछ नहीं होगा. Afghans are much more smarter than the Pakistanis.
हम्म
The Afghans are much more smarter, and honestly, a lot will depend on how this Iran fiasco ends up in Afghanistan as well. इस पे बहुत डिपेंड करता है कि मिडिल ईस्ट और वेस्ट एशिया में अभी जो इमर्जिंग सिचुएशन है अगले 2-3 साल में, इस पे तालिबान का बहुत डिपेंड करता है कि विल दे सर्वाइव द पावर और दे विल नॉट सर्वाइव द पावर.
हम्म
That is to be seen, right? Will the world again push for democratic forces in Afghanistan because they want, once they ease out Iran, they would push for Afghanistan. Ki let's now break this thing there first and then look at Syria. That can also happen. So, but Taliban, for now, I have seen them. They have dealt with a far more maturity than what the Pakistanis have displayed in their own, you know, games. They will balance both. They will balance the Chinese and the Americans because they are important in both cases. And also, Afghanistan is a counter, guarantee to the Pakistan as well. And if the Americans want to play the Balochistan game, there, then essentially Taliban is very, very important. The TTP is very important. So Taliban backing is very important. So they will have to keep them going. I don't see why Taliban should be disturbed or will be disturbed by either of the forces at the moment. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I lost you.
sorry there will be some sort of balance which will be created between the Americans who back the BLA and of course they back the Afghans also. So what do you think is going to happen with regards to TTP BLA attacks? Do they continue or in the same way or do they reduce?
They will actually continue. About देखो TTP is coming and hitting them in Balochistan. I told you BLA will go and hit them in KPK. It will go the other way around. They will operate in each other's areas now. They will operate outside their zones. So this will continue. This is not going to stop. Why would it stop? It has no reason to stop. So you keep Pakistan stretched. You stretch them. You pull them. You stretch them. You push them. You stretch them. That is what they were going to do. Push and pulls will be there. So I don't see reasons why it will stop. It will keep on going. And any further Chinese movement is going to be hit by BLA or going to be hit by PPP. That is why the Chinese want that. I again lost you. आपकी
वो
आवाज
तो
नहीं आ रही.
the Americans would also want.
That is the Americans what we want, na? That is why the Chinese are countering it by an offer of the CPEC going via Afghanistan. That is what they may think that this will reduce this. So it's a funny game. They will make money both sides. So it's a कभी तो वो बोल रहे हैं कि ठीक है हम केटीके से आएंगे with the hope कि saying that हम अफगानिस्तान में आएंगे तो टीटीपी रुक जाएगा. But they
अफगान
also know नहीं होने.
अफगान तो बड़ी क्लियर वार्निंग दे रहे हैं कि तुम बेवकूफी करोगे तो हम तो ठोकेंगे तुमको बड़ी बुरी तरह से. And अभी
तो वो तो
Afghans have
होगा.
recently shown anti-aircraft capability also. They've shown all that deployed in hands of soldiers. तो ये तो मतलब
Why
अमेरिका
only
इसको यूज तो करेगा लेकिन ठुकाएगा भी साथ में.
why only anti-aircraft? They show drone capabilities. They're purchasing drones now, heavy drones. So obviously, where
टीटीपी
is the money coming from?
या
यहाँ तो
टीटीपी
ये
हिट द
अफगानियों के पास कहाँ से आ रहा है? ये ड्रोन्स कहाँ से आ रहे हैं इनके पास? कौन दे रहा है इनको ये ड्रोन्स? Nobody in Pakistan is asking these questions. Now, where are these drones coming from? So they will also tell, okay, Americans are giving us drones. Chinese को बोलेंगे allow दो. Chinese ने वैसे उनको anti-air दिया हुआ है. They have supplied them before. So they are going to play the same game the Pakistanis played, the extension of the same game. Saying them we are more important than the Pakistanis. You want Balochistan settled, then you need to make a deal with us. Pakistan doesn't have it in their control. They can't do anything about it. We hold the key. So that is just an extension of the region how it is going.
तो आसिम मुनीर इज बेसिकली गोइंग देयर टू लगाओ हिज बोली. कौन ज्यादा बोली देगा उसको. मैं बोलते हैं ना जितना सजेगी उतना बजेगी. दैट बिकम्स बेसिकली ट्रू.
Absolutely, that is what is going to happen. इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं होगा.
अगर ये ईरान के ऊपर यहाँ से कुछ करते हैं, what do you think the Iranians are going to do?
I don't think Pakistanis will directly do anything for Iran. They will directly involve themselves into Iran because
They
see
will
the
do.
Americans might take a base or fly drones out of Pakistan and hit Iran, but then they will not be able to protect Pakistan from the Iranian ballistic missiles. And China would also not like Pakistan to get involved directly into Iran. That is why I'm saying this ISKP game, this terrorism game is very important. And if that happens, then you will see Iran engulfed in war with Pakistan. Then you're going to have a bitter war, very, very bitter war in Pakistan. And not only on country level, but also on sectarian levels. You will have all these brigades which are sitting in Syria, you know, the Riyun and all those brigades. They will start operating on Pakistan-Iran border and they will start occupying them like BLA and TTP. So that will be a headache for Pakistan.
That's what I'm saying now. Though ISKP के ऊपर अभी जब BLA ने अटैक डाला है, this is also a very interesting saying कि भैया we know that you're trying to use these terror groups again, and we will not let you do that. Right? If
That
you
is
look at it,
exactly what the message.
so अगर
That
वो
is
इन लोगों
exactly
ने
what the message.
कि भाई we will not let you do that. हमको पता है तुम ये करने वाले हो. तो now who's behind the BLA attack on ISKP?
Taliban. Because they are using ISKP against Taliban also, no? Against
Yes.
TTP also in Afghanistan.
Why? I
Destabilize.
mean, if I was America, I would call up the Taliban and say, भाई क्या कर रहे हो? हमारे टट्टों को क्यों ठोक रहे हो तुम?
No, I don't think so. Because if America can give them a guarantee that Pakistan is not going to use ISKP in Afghanistan, the Americans are using it, no? Americans are using it both ways. So I don't think why America should get involved and openly ask कि हमारे को क्यों ठोक रहे हो?
Because इनके पास ISKP के पास जो ranks इनके swell हुए थे, they all ran away to Syria when this thing happened, and most of them have not come back. क्योंकि वहां पर तो looting
Because
is
they
a
were
little more, ना? Women are a lot more freely available, looting is available.
no. That is also because a lot of them were fighting in Syria also. When ISIS collapsed, they came back into Afghanistan with the Khorasan जो था. After ISIS collapsed in Syria and Iraq, it was the Khorasan region, ISKP जिसको आप बोलते हो. तो वो ट्रम्प के साथ भी तो था when US forces were there. So Taliban is the one which cleared them out. So it's Taliban which is very wary of these ISKP people. They feel a very mortal threat from them. So they are the ones who will clear them out first. And then the Iranians will take care of it.
जो ईरान का, I mean, right now, what do you think is going to happen with Iran? Is Is there going to be a hot this thing, or is just going to be pressure tactics?
Yeah, I think it is going to get hot. I don't see it as a pressure tactic at all. Because the way Trump is heading it both ways, I don't see that there is going to be a deal onto this. Despite, I think the sixth round has been cancelled or made again on Sunday or something, but I don't see much coming out of it. I think
Hmm.
eventually the Israelis will go hot on Iran. They don't have an option.
Hmm.
And the way Americans have also assessed that they will have to go hot on Iran. There is no other way of dealing with Iran. So they would want now Chinese to come and because the Russians and the Chinese will also get involved there. So once Iran gets up into this kind of a conflict, then obviously Pakistan is affected. The whole West Asia region is affected. It even comes to our borders. It's going to be a trouble. It's going to be a huge trouble in this area. They want to reset their supremacy and their dominance in this area. How do you do that? That is
नहीं,
why.
उसके लिए see, my understanding is very clear. उसके लिए they need two bases. One is in the Arabian Sea and second is in the Bay of Bengal. They need that. ठीक है? Because if you
Yeah,
look at their global deployment, that is one of the biggest flaws in their deployment. ये दो जगहों पे पूरा gaps हैं. They don't have anything inside this. So
and if you look at the Arabian Sea,
अगर उनको base चाहिए पाकिस्तान में, so then they have to remove the Chinese from there.
that is exactly, they will not be able to move now, but they don't want to keep Chinese completely unchallenged access around border into the Arabian Sea, where the Chinese then Navy would be going right up, supplying Iran very easily. They don't want to cede that path also, and they'll keep check and balance in there as well. So
तो वही
basis
बात
तो
है ना.
चाहिए उनको भैया बंगाल में चाहिए उनको
If
हर जगह चाहिए.
if they don't get the base in Arabian Sea, the game doesn't set.
They are that is why they are looking at limiting the Chinese influence in the region.
Hmm.
And that is why I say that Balochistan will be broken into two parts.
Hmm.
And it will not be that, it will be a very peaceful breakup where one part will be governed by democratic forces, other will be like this. It will be in a flux. So we'll keep on fighting this independence war, not let the Chinese settle into Balochistan, keep this bloody nonsense going on. What we see in Myanmar, essentially, I see a future of Pakistan exactly what I see Myanmar is going on. That is
Right.
what will happen in Balochistan. So we'll
You
have too
mentioned
many armies fighting.
what are you saying about two parts of Balochistan?
So I'm saying basically what they will do is they will carve out some spaces out of Balochistan, which the Baloch BLA will say that we are completely liberal and independent and all that. And then they will fight for the liberation of the rest of the Balochistan. So basically, you'll have a lot of insurgency groups which will be operating inside Balochistan, keeping the Chinese on the edge, not letting them settle, not letting them set up either logistic supplies back to China or even putting more foothold into China and grabbing those uh, deals where mineral deals ये rig है यार ये cyanidic rig and all that. Umara port पे पंगा है. Umara port पे Chinese are looking at building a ship बिल्डिंग फैसिलिटी ठीक है. सो उमरारा पे कैसे करोगे आप? अभी तो वो बैठे हैं बॉर्डर पे. उमरारा आप उनको देना नहीं चाहते. तो उमरारा
Hmm.
के लिए भी you'll have to fight. So you will create a condition where it will become very difficult for the Chinese to come in unless and until they come in by foot and say we want to hold it militarily. Once you hold it militarily, then you are creating a problem. You're changing the geopolitical lines. That means you're breaking Pakistan completely. You're telling Pakistan is over. ठीक है, then Pakistan, what does Pakistan become? Pakistan becomes Myanmar. You have a junta in Myanmar, then you have this organization. So you'll have same thing, BLA, TTP, Jaish-e-Mohammed, XYZ organizations looking at small areas of influence, fighting each other out. That is what will end up with Pakistan. That is how Pakistan balkanizes. No? That is the future of Pakistan. So the
I mean,
unrest would be there, but that is what will happen.
I I've been talking about the Somaliaization of Pakistan for almost 2 years now. जब मैंने पहली बार ही बोला था, लोग हंसे थे मेरे को. Everybody thought
नहीं Myanmar
balkanization.
को
Balkanization के अंदर survival होता है. Somaliaization के अंदर survival नहीं होता.
हाँ
So
नहीं म्यांमार वाला सिचुएशन ले लो ना. दैट काइंड ऑफ
yeah,
थिंग आई एम टॉकिंग. दैट इज व्हाट विल हैपन.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting that ये पूरा इस तरह खुल रहा है. Lastly, I want to ask you about what India. When you look at all this stuff, हमारा क्या role रहेगा when and if the Iranian bubble does go up? What do we do?
And we have to be very careful because we are managing the Afghans through Iran also. So the
Hmm.
Americans will have to understand that as well. Unless the Americans want again Afghanistan to become completely dependent on Pakistan, which neither the Afghans nor anybody else would like to do. Going on the bubble, the way kind of relationship we have with Israel, we cannot be overly looking at supporting Iran as well. But at the same time, we will not be somebody who is going to be and join this fight and say let's be against Iran or fight Iran out. I think we will do what we did with Russia Ukraine. Kind of same approach will be used with Iranian conflict as well. The kind of role we are playing in Russia Ukraine, I think it will be pretty similar to what we will see ourselves in Iran Israel conflict as well. I don't see much of a divergence from that kind of a role at all.
Because it's a very dangerous scenario अगर ये इधर पे कुछ होता है, because we know for a fact कि इतने सारे यहाँ पर ये टेररिस्ट वेरिस्ट CTIM पता नहीं कितने सारे ग्रुप्स यहाँ पर बैठे हुए हैं who are sitting and operating in this region, and we know that they are trying to do something or the other. It'll be a grave, you know, it'll be a very interesting thing to see if uh, if they try something with India also at the same time, because
They will
then
try.
the
They will try. They will
Pakistan का
try. Once हाँ नहीं नहीं ये हमारे बॉर्डर्स पे आएगा ये दोनों तरफ से आएगा वेस्ट से भी आएगा ईस्ट से भी आएगा so we have our own challenges to meet. It is not going to be that we are going to be left unscratched from this conflict. We will also get involved because they would like to India also to be you know somewhere bogged down into all these things. They will put pressure on us also. There will be a lot of pressure on India. It's not a very good time. Next 6 7 years is going to be very bad in terms of high diplomacy and all that. It's not going to be easy. So I'm pretty idea.
आएगा, and this is what I'm so actually in a way मेरे को बड़ा अच्छा लगता है कि भैया although on terrible circumstances जो कुछ भी हुआ, but one thing that is at least the janta has started looking at these aspects a little more carefully. तो हम we are able to now see that people are getting a bit serious कि यार कोई भरोसा नहीं है, कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है. Let's be careful. Let's look at our neighborhood. Let's look at our trade and this and that. So I guess Operation Sindoor came at a very interesting time in history, and probably when this time is over, we'll probably realize कि इसका meaning क्या था, और how did it actually help us in the game going forward. Any last words, Raja bhai,
Many
before we end?
it is Operation Sindoor has helped us a long way in going forward. India economically is known to be rising number four, but the capability India has, showcased, which has literally put the West also on quite a surprising thing. They didn't expect India to do that well. So it's an announcement to the world saying that militarily we have also arrived. Not only economically, but also militarily we are very capable and we have arrived. So I think and it's good that people have started realizing and looking at things the way they need to be looked because the time is tough. It's not going to be an easy time. It's going to be a tough time going forward. So it's always realism over practicism. Pragmatism is something where you need to practice at times, and this is a time where you need to be more realistic than to be more pragmatic, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Thanks, bhai. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the insight. It's going to be very interesting. And अपनी हीरा मंडी चमकेगी दोबारा से. इसकी दोबारा से चमक आएगी, उसमें हम सब नाचेंगे. And hoping to see you back for our regular live shows on Sunday night. Till then, namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat to all the audience. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to support the channel. QR code, PayPal, Super Stickers, Super Chat. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Take care.